Bulletcast for life.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bulletcast on the Sports Recreational Podcast. It is simply just too sweet. I'm your host, Phillip and Brandon, and yes, I am the Podfather. I'm joined on the other line by the Bulletcast champion, the Canadian Destroyer, Brandon. How's it going there, guy?
Going great. How are you doing today, Phillip?
I'm all right. Mitchell is not here with us, and this is not one of our regular episodes. We'll still be recording that on Friday. This is just a little bonus for the fans of the podcast.
Mm-hmm. We love them all.
Love them
all five of them.
I mean, I'm sure we have more than five. I know we have some fans in Germany and Czechoslovakia, Canada. We have a nice little fan base over there.
No comment.
No comment? All right. But, ladies and gentlemen, so the topic of this podcast is what WWE superstar would you like to see go over to New Japan? You want to start with someone else? This is your idea.
Sure. I mean, I'm just going to eliminate, like, obvious ones like AJ and Finn and Brock and people who've already gone over there. We're talking about
guys
people
who've
never been over there, and people who you think would be a good fit for the New Japan product. And, you know, I don't know if I'd put them together, but I think the Bar, Sheamus and Cesaro, could be a great either heavyweight tag team or just be on their own, and they can, because I would love to see Cesaro just tear it up in the G1, or maybe even see what Sheamus can do. I know Sheamus has some injury issues, so that might be a problem. But I think Sheamus is a nice, hard-hitting wrestler. He has a nice look. He's the pale white guy. They don't have very many of those over there in Japan.
Oh, yeah.
I think both of them can get over, either as a tag team or as single stars.
Yeah. I mean, Sheamus, he has spinal stenosis, which is, what ended the careers of Stone Cold Steve Austin and Edge. But, Sheamus, he's still putting on great matches. I'd love to see the Bar over there with War Machine and the Guerrillas of Destiny. I'd love to see them tear it up over there in Japan. Now, for me, I think we've said this on the pod before, Dolph Ziggler. Of course, I don't want to see him leave WWE, but if he were to go over to Japan, I think he'd be a perfect fit for this new era of Bullet Club. Because when Finn and AJ were running the club, they were hard hitting. They were really dominant. Now this era of Bullet Club, they're more flamboyant with Skrull and the way the Young Bucks act and Cody's whole kiss the ring idea. I think if you throw Dolph Ziggler in there, it'd be the perfect fit.
I'm just thinking, like, Cody is already the WWE guy in Bullet Club, and if you put Dolph Ziggler in there, he's even more of a WWE guy than Cody Rhodes would be. I just don't know if that would work out right now. I know they're doing the program with the possible breakup of Cody and Kenny, but I mean, we've never seen Dolph Ziggler do anything outside of WWE, so we don't know how he would do in Japan or elsewhere.
I mean, I think it'd be a nice fit.
I don't know. I just have to believe it when I see it. I've said it very many times. I used to be very high on Dolph Ziggler. I've kind of fallen off the bandwagon. I just don't really believe. I don't know if he gets it. Like, I don't know if he's trying to be like too smart and trying to be too insider and trying to be too ironic and funny. I don't know. I just want to see Dolph Ziggler just be serious and just win. And then, but for him to win, he has to be booked to win. It's a whole thing. I don't know.
It's a whole thing. I mean, I'm still very high on Dolph Ziggler. It's 2018. I'm as high on him as I was in 2013 when he cashed in.
I mean, Dolph Ziggler, it is what it is. I mean, he can very well go over there and have great matches. He can have great matches. I know he can have great matches over there. I just don't know what his character would be because, I don't know. He just seems like he wants to get himself over in like this ironic, funny way, and it doesn't work for me.
All right. So, who else did you have in mind going over there?
So Bruiser Brody was a huge star over in Japan.
He was.
And Luke Harper gets a lot of comparisons to Bruiser Brody. And I think Luke Harper, even though he is old, he's damn near 40, I think, almost at this point. But I think he could go over there and he could just tear it up as being this monster who just kills everybody. I was thinking Braun Strowman, but I think Braun Strowman might be too big. He might be a little too green to be over there. But Luke Harper is the perfect combination of big and has the experience that he can go over there and just tear it up and have great matches with almost anybody.
See, I've been a fan of Luke Harper since he was Brody Lee. You know, Harper, you know, he's a big guy. He's very athletic. His tope suicidas, his hurricanranas, you know, the drop kick. He's a great talent. I think he could really tear it up in the G1 with guys like Okada and Naito and Ishii. You know, really just hard hitting, fast paced. He could really work any style, I think.
But if he's going over there, I don't want Luke Harper, or whatever his name's going to be, to go over there and do tope suicidas. I want him to be like a Bad Luck Fale, where he takes like maybe 2 bumps the entire match, and he just, you know, is the big monster, and you got to try to chop him down. And then, I'm not trying to make him fly all over the place like he's Will Ospreay. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it.
Yeah, I mean, we could take it back to the days of like the early '90s when you had to, if you're wrestling, let's say Kevin Nash, you got to really chop him down like a tree to get the victory. We could take it back to those days. You're right.
Because, you know, it worked back then. Why can't it work now?
Because, you know, it's the whole new era thing of wrestling and fans and all that great stuff, you know.
But Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho, what new fancy thing did they do in their match and their build-up? They didn't do anything new. They just did a solid, I'm going to beat you up because I'm the best. He comes out, Chris Jericho attacks Kenny from behind, bloodies him up, and then it's a whole blood feud, and they do the whole press conference thing, and they come together, they have the great match. And they didn't do anything special. Everything in New Japan is just by the books. For the most part, you've seen it before, and it works just because they're stars. If you have stars and you have people who can deliver in the ring, you don't need to have these cockamamie angles of someone pulling down a lighting grid or something to smash your opponents coming up before the pay-per-view. Not that, you know, that's ever happened before.
Yeah. I mean, so you said the Bar, I said Ziggler, you said Harper. I'm trying to really like think about the roster right now. Like what about Nikki Cross? Does New Japan, do they have like a women's division or?
No, they do not have a women's division.
They should probably start that up.
Well, there's so much other women's wrestling in Japan that New Japan doesn't really need to have a women's division.
Because you know, I listen to Brian Campbell in this corner of the CBS Sports Podcast, and he talks about New Japan starting this amazing revolution in pro wrestling and them coming over to the States and really doing business over here, which they are going to have another show in the States in Long Beach in March. But he talked about this great revolution that they're starting. You want to really be revolutionary? Let's get a women's division and let's throw Nikki Cross in there because New Japan, they have unbelievable athletes, absolutely, but the character work. Let's really get some abstract characters over there. Omega, you know, he's the cleaner or whatever. Okada is the rainmaker. Naito, the guy who the fans hated, so he left and went over to what's the name of the group? Los Ingobernables de Japón. He did all that stuff. Let's really get some character work over there. Nikki Cross, the crazy chick who can, with that last woman standing match with Asuka, no, that was great. She can wrestle, so let's try to start that up, you know?
I'm not going to complain if New Japan starts a women's division. I just don't think they are, because over in Japan, there is just so much women's wrestling over there that they don't need to compete with them. Like, Asuka was a huge star over in Japan and around the world, and she didn't come from New Japan.
That is true. I'm just saying that the whole revolution talk, start something like that up.
Just because WWE has their corporate women's revolution, everyone has to have a revolution now?
No, no. Campbell's talking about, like, a revolution of, like, the company as a whole. Some say they're trying to become a number two to Vince McMahon, which I don't think is going to happen. They need to do a lot of work before they can get there, you know?
You don't think New Japan is the number 2 promotion in the world right now?
Competing with, like, I'm talking about from, like, a production standpoint, you know, stuff like that. And Ring of Honor, you know, they have production problems also. So it's the whole thing.
From a production standpoint, I love the way New Japan produces their TVs and their matches a lot better than WWE does because they produce it like it's a sport and it's really happening. The wrestlers aren't playing to the camera. The cameras are playing to the wrestlers. So sometimes it might be a bad camera angle, but they don't do the jump cuts every, 10 seconds, or 5 seconds, like Jim, or whatever his name is. The buck-tooth dude in WWE, whatever the fuck his name is.
Kevin Dunn.
You know what I'm talking about. Kevin Dunn, that guy. They don't do the jump cuts and they give me a headache. And, watching WWE for so long, you kind of get used to it. But then when somebody else watches it, they're like, why are they doing so many camera changes? Which makes sense. In a baseball game and a football game, they stick to one shot for, at least 30 to 40-something seconds because you don't need to do all these different angles. You just need to focus on the game, and that's what New Japan does.
That is true, But we can talk about their production. That could be a topic for another pod. But who else do you have going over to Japan and trying to tear it up?
Let's see. You said Dolph Ziggler could be a good fit in the Bullet Club. I sort of disagree, but I just don't know what he would do over there. I'm gonna go. You went to NXT to go get Nikki Cross. I'll go to NXT and I'll get Aleister Black and I'll put him in the Bullet Club. And he can be the badass, not high flyer, but he can be the badass having the great matches that the Bullet Club needs.
Oh,
so is
he going to be a Tommy End when he goes in the club?
Yep. But then you don't want everybody to join the Bullet Club because it's going to turn out to be like the NWO where there's just 1,000 people and you don't need all that. It's not super bloated right now. It was a couple months ago when they had a little more people than they needed to, but they've I think it's good where it is right now. Don't need to add any more people, but if we would, I think Aleister Black would be a very good addition to New Japan in the Bullet Club.
I think so also. You can have some high spots at Wrestle Kingdom, Dominion, New Year's Dash, the G1, and I'd like to see that.
And there you go. I'm here with the hot takes.
The hot takes. I'm really trying to look at the roster right now. Who else is there? Who would be a nice fit in Japan? What about Orton?
With Randy Orton, he would have to be super motivated and want to do something. Because Randy Orton, I'm not going to knock him for this, but he just goes there, gets his paycheck. He goes out there, does Randy Orton stuff, hits an RKO, goes home, and it's fine. He's not setting the world on fire or anything like that. He never really did. He's had a couple great matches, but for the most part, they're mediocre matches. I don't know if he goes over there. Maybe he can be super inspired like Jericho, and he can be the mega heel, just going up against everybody. I don't know if he'd want to have a hard-hitting match like Jericho would be willing to, because, he's had the hardcore matches with Mick Foley and stuff like that, but that was years ago, and, it is what it is. I don't know. What do you think Randy Orton would be like in New Japan?
Well, you alluded to the whole Jericho thing. Well, going back to 2017, you remember the whole headlock dive controversy. You can really just go over there and be like, you guys don't do anything but dives. You guys don't know how to tell a story. And then who's the quote-unquote head honcho of Japan? Kenny Omega. So therefore, we can go into Omega.
Kenny Omega is not the head honcho of New Japan. That is Okada. You guys are selling Okada short. You guys keep hating on Okada. I'm the only person on this damn podcast to stand up for him, just because I'm not an ignorant American and I understand that Okada is the number one person over in New Japan.
Hey man, I like Okada more than I like Omega. Yeah. All right, let's not jump to conclusions now. But what I'm saying is, Omega's the quote-unquote uncrowned king of New Japan, and he stays in the ring a lot, but he does do some dives, so he could come and defend the turf and be like, no, that's not what goes on over here, and then you can have it at a Dominion or whatever other shows that New Japan runs. They can have that, and I don't think it needs to be at a Wrestle Kingdom or. Actually, no, it's Orton, so he's going to take him with a big payday, so it probably will have to be at a Wrestle Kingdom,
Do you think a Randy Orton Kenny Omega match would draw any sort of attention compared to what Chris Jericho did? Because I don't think that would happen.
I mean, Jericho's a master storyteller. Now, Orton, can he tell a story? Yeah, it just depends on what it is. Now, like I said, I didn't say it had to be at a Wrestle Kingdom, but Orton would probably want that. But honestly, like, if we're being realistic, put it at a Dominion or whatever, and it would draw headlines. Randy Orton, longtime WWE wrestler, goes over to Japan. I mean, he's never been there. He's been WWE his entire professional wrestling career.
I mean, it would draw headlines, and maybe it would reach the super casual fans more than Chris Jericho would reach. But just Chris Jericho has the indie cred, so to speak, so people would want to see that match in terms of the in-ring. I don't know if people would want to see a Kenny Omega-Randy Orton match, just because I don't think people have high expectations of what a Randy Orton match could be at this point. I'm not saying if it happens I'm not going to watch it. I would watch it just to see what they do, but I'm not going to say I'd be as excited as I was for the Chris Jericho match that just happened.
I mean, I'm looking at it like this. With Orton, he's like 37, about to be 38. I mean, Shawn Michaels is putting on excellent matches well into his mid-40s. Orton, he has a lot left in the tank. Just give him something that he can really sink his teeth into, and it'll be, I'm not saying it'll be spectacular, but it'll be very, very good, you know?
I think it'd be good. I know this man's a much bigger star than Randy Orton is, but I would have more faith in John Cena if John Cena would ever go to New Japan. I don't think he would. I don't think John Cena's ever leaving WWE just because that's his platform. He's going to be doing the movies and everything like that. But if John Cena did go over to New Japan and did something, I think that could be like, if, let's say Vince McMahon and John Cena have some sort of falling out and John Cena's like, you know what, F Vince, I'm going to try to take him down or something, and he goes over to New Japan and either does a Wrestle Kingdom or maybe he joins New Japan when they actually do a U.S. tour. I think that could do big business, and John Cena could still have great matches if he's in there with the right opponents.
Hey, let's not forget, Cena put out that Instagram photo of Kenny Omega last year, so, you know, it's I mean, John Cena's not stupid.
John Cena's not stupid. He knows what's going on. He knows what New Japan's doing.
Oh, yeah. All right, so you said Cena. Let me see. What about Rusev?
I mean, I love Rusev. Rusev would have to go back to being the big brute. He can't be happy. He can't be, Rusev Day Rusev. He'd have to be angry Russian tank Rusev, which would be fine. I don't know if you want to. I don't know if he's going to wave the Russian flag over in Japan or anything like that, but you never know.
I mean, that'd be fine. Take Lana with him if he really wanted to. That'd be a nice little power couple thing in Japan. Put the Intercontinental strap on him. I can see him really going toe-to-toe with Fale and Elgin and Jeff Cobb. He's starting to do some stuff over in Japan. Some nice, really hard-hitting matches I'd like to see.
I'm just thinking, when Maria Kanellis was over in Japan with Mike Bennett in the Kingdom, they just would zoom in on her ass, and it'd be very awkward viewing. I wonder if Lana would do the same thing over in New Japan. She probably would.
I mean, was it really awkward viewing? I mean, somebody killed her.
I mean, they literally. I mean, I've already cussed once. They literally stuck the camera up her ass and just
I know,
kept it there while she shook it. I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying Japan's a very weird country. They're hypersexual, but then also super shy and stuff like that. It's weird. Japan's different.
I know they got the Tokyo Pimp and his little bunny and all that stuff. So I came at you with Rusev, Dave. What else you got?
I mean, I said John Cena. What do you think of Cena going over to New Japan?
That's huge. That's really bigger than Jericho. Because Cena, he's our generation's Hogan. I mean, he has a big name. I mean, he's defeated really everyone: Orton, Edge, Punk, Hunter, Rock, Jericho. He's beaten really everybody. So him going over there working with Omega, that's just another one he'd like to check off the list, He
doesn't have to face Omega. He can face Okada. He can face other people.
He could face Okada, do some. Actually, you know what? What about Cena versus Hiroshi Tanahashi?
I mean, I do call Tanahashi the John Cena of New Japan. He's the old guy, but he can still go.
A lot of people do. So, the quote-unquote face that runs the place in Japan going up against the franchise of WWE, I think that's something I'd like to see.
Yeah, but you got to hurry up because Tanahashi's kind of not breaking down, but he's just injured right now. John Cena, he ain't getting any younger, so it's got to be a match that's got to happen soon.
Anything can happen. I mean, in 2016 and 17, we saw the face of TNA go up against the face of WWE, and it was awesome,
Mhm.
I mean, Cena going over there, that's good for business. But Vince is gonna have to get involved in that somehow.
I mean, all the rumors are that Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega is just a trade, and Kenny's going to come over to the Royal Rumble, which is not going to happen.
Yeah, that's not happening. I mean, what about talent trading like ECW did in the '90s with the WWE before the whole WWE bought them out? What if something like that would happen in this day and age of wrestling? With Japan and WWE.
Just WWE and New Japan, it wouldn't go both ways, but WWE loaning wrestlers over to New Japan?
Yeah, and
or just funding, or just funding them. Because I don't think New Japan needs any funding issues like ECW did back in the day.
They're not Heyman stealing money. I'm talking about really just talent trading. You give me this guy for this certain storyline, we'll give you this guy for this big match, stuff like that.
I mean, as cool as it sounds for an Okada for Roman Reigns trade for someone to do back and forth, just something like that, it's clearly never going to happen because WWE is not going to go. I don't want to sound derogatory, but go down to New Japan's level and give them attention and give them because really WWE's going to say, you guys have Japan, we'll give you that, we'll do our shows in Japan every summer, but you guys are in Japan, but we run the rest of the world, and if we give you our stars, then you're going to impede on us and you're going to try to catch up with us, which they're already trying to do with a show in the United States and in Europe, and they're trying to get it going. I'm not saying all out Wrestle War is going to happen soon. It might happen 2020 when just everything kind of comes together and New Japan kind of understands what they got to do to face off against WWE. But I don't think ever a talent trading thing is going to happen between WWE and New Japan, just because WWE is just so controlling of what they do. They won't even let Drew McIntyre, someone who was already in the WWE system, who went over to the indie scene forever, to come back and just go straight to the indie scene or go straight to the main roster. They had to go back to NXT, and that's what it is. They have to bring them in, and you have to knock all the bad stuff they learned outside of WWE and teach them the ways of WWE, which, besides AJ Styles, that's what everyone else has to do.
Yeah.
So, I went on a little bit of a tirade there.
Hey, no, it's fine. You're like Mitchell today, man. Just long-winded. It's good.
I'm trying to just pad out the time.
Pad out the time. I like it. I mean, but I don't know. I don't think it'll ever happen, because, with Vince and the whole, these are my guys, that I run this wrestling world and all that stuff. But you mentioned Roman Reigns. What do you think about the big dog going over to Japan?
I mean, he's a big star. If you're a big enough star, you can get over almost anywhere. And Roman, I feel he has to be a heel over there.
Oh,
he has to be. I mean, he would have to kind of be like what Naito is. He'd have to be just a cocky, arrogant heel who just doesn't care about, like it all depends on how he goes there. Like, let's say it is a loan of Roman. Roman goes over there for 6 to 8 months in Japan. He can just go over there and he can just bury New Japan and just say, like, oh, I'm the big dog. It's all about America. Or, I don't think they want to just all out say WWE all the time, but he could be the cocky big dog and then have Okada just knock him down and
what if
destroy him. I mean, I did not hear, but the idea of the Samoans going up against the Tongans over in New Japan, that would be a good matchup.
Honestly, just lump them all together. Hell, shit. You know?
Oh, no, come on. Those are two different islands. You don't want to just lump them all together.
I mean, I'm not saying throw Roman and the Usos and the Bullet Club, but there's like Bullet Club, then there's like the Elite. There can be the Bullet Club and then like the Gorillas. Something going on there.
I don't think people would accept Roman Reigns if he joined the Bullet Club.
I'm not saying he joins the Bullet Club. I'm saying like he's with the Gorillas.
But the Gorillas are in the Bullet Club.
I know. But I'm saying like he's not like officially with them. He's just kind of like they team together once and they're like, all right, this is all right, But then of course you're not. I mean, he could just like bring the Usos with him. You never know.
You do never know.
Get Rikishi versus Fowler.
I don't think we need that.
All right, man. Who else you got now?
I don't know. But do you have anybody in mind while I try to think?
We've said a lot of big names, Cena, Orton, Rusev, the Big Dog. Actually, what about Seth freaking Rollins? I don't think he ever did a tour of Japan. That's my knowledge.
I was just thinking that, like, or even Dean Ambrose. I think Seth Rollins would be a better fit than Dean Ambrose would be over in Japan, just because he's I mean, would you have him be a heavyweight, or would you have him be a junior heavyweight, just because of the style Rollins would probably wrestle over in Japan?
He could be a heavy. That's fine.
I mean, I know Seth Rollins. I don't know if you let him loose on the Indies, then he's probably just gonna do what he wants. It just goes and flips all over the place.
Hey, but if he goes, if he goes to Japan, that curb stomp's coming back.
And I do love the curb stomp. I know Trent Beretta just became a heavyweight, so Trent and Seth practically have like the same body type. So I guess he can be a heavyweight. Why not?
I mean that'd be nice. Rollins versus Ibushi.
I mean, Ibushi versus anybody is going to be amazing.
Rollins with Naito, Rollins with Okada. No, throw Rollins in there with Ishii and Elgin. You got yourself a nice little series in the G1. Yeah, so I mean, we've said a lot of big names. Is there anybody else that comes to mind? I mean, I was looking at NXT Undisputed Era. They've all had some stuff done in Japan already. I was thinking Velveteen Dream, but that's just too much of a larger than life character at the moment.
But if you remember, CJ Parker was the hippie telling everybody that we're all killing the earth. He goes over to New Japan. He's Juice Robinson now, and he's like practically the #1 gaijin over there. Everybody loves him over there. So it can happen.
It can happen. You're right. It can happen. All right. I think we should end it here, there, guy.
I think we should. I'm surprised we went this long. I thought we were only going to go maybe 10 minutes, but a couple soliloquies here and there.
Ooh, I like that.
I know.
Yeah. I've got to go coach wrestling practice. I do big things.
Teaching the youth.
Teaching the youth, yes, and enriching young lives. That's what I do. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as you can hear our voices again, Mitchell may be with us. We don't know yet. For the regular episode of the Bulletcast, episode 50. And, ladies and gentlemen, let's just say that we are going to be all in since that was announced today from Cody Rhodes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Bulletcast and Sports Recreational Podcast. It is simply just too sweet. Brandon, hit us with it.
Okay, everybody. Goodbye and good night. Bang. Bang.
Bulletcast for life.
This has been the Bulletcast. Thank you for listening.